I never thought my story would start like this. Not with joy. Not with laughter, but with silence. A silence so heavy, it felt like the world itself had stopped breathing. They say the worst pain doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the people you love, the people you trust, the people you would have done anything for. And I trusted him completely. That night, everything felt so ordinary. I was sitting on the couch, scrolling through my phone, the TV buzzing in the background. He was next to me, pretending to watch, but his eyes weren't on the screen. He looked distracted, distant. At first, I brushed it off. We all have bad days, right? But then his phone lit up and my life changed forever. It was just one message, one line. But sometimes, one line is enough to tear a heart apart. I shouldn't have looked. Maybe if I hadn't, I could have stayed in that warm little bubble of ignorance. But curiosity is cruel. It doesn't let you rest. It whispers, check, just check. And I did. The message wasn't long. It wasn't even romantic. It was worse than that. It was casual. Familiar, like two people who had shared a secret for a long time. Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you. My stomach dropped. My hands shook. My chest felt like it had been ripped open. In that single moment, everything I thought I knew about him, about us, about my future, it all shattered. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the phone, to demand answers, to force him to explain, but I didn't. I froze, because betrayal doesn't always explode. Sometimes it sinks in slowly, like poison spreading through your veins. And in that silence, 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind. How long? With who? Whom, why? But the loudest thought of all was this. How could he? I stared at him, sitting just inches away from me. The man I loved, the man I defended, the man I trusted. And suddenly his face looked different, not softer, not familiar, but cold. Like a stranger I'd never met before. He noticed my eyes on him. He asked if I was okay. I nodded. Because in that moment, I wasn't ready for him to know what I knew. Not yet. See? Pain does strange things to you. It crushes you, yes. But it also sharpens you. It wakes up parts of you that were asleep. And as I sat there, pretending nothing was wrong, one truth settled deep inside me. This was not the end of my story. No, this was just the beginning. Because if betrayal had shattered me, then whom? Then revenge would be the fire that rebuilt me. That night, when he fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling. My heart was broken, yes. But beneath the heartbreak, something new was stirring. Anger, resolve, a hunger for justice. I whispered to myself, barely loud enough to hear, "You don't get to break me and walk away untouched." And I meant it. The next morning, I put on my usual smile. I made breakfast. I laughed at his jokes. I acted like nothing had changed. But inside, I was already planning. Already piecing together the path that would lead to his downfall. He thought I was still blind, but I wasn't. I had seen his true face. And once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. They say revenge is dangerous, that it consumes you. But let me tell you something. When your heart has been broken in ways you can't explain, revenge isn't destruction, it's survival. It's taking back control, and I was ready. Looking back now, I realized that night was the turning point. The night I stopped being the girl who believed in happy endings, and became the woman who would write her own ending. An ending he never expected. An ending that would leave him speechless, because betrayal may have shattered me. But my secret revenge, it would rebuild me, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. And this is how it all began. If you had met us in the beginning, you would have thought we were perfect. We laughed together. We dreamed together. We looked like the kind of couple you'd see in movies, the kind where everyone says, they're meant to be. And for a while, I believed it too. I believed every smile, every promise, every whispered word late at night. Because when love feels good, you don't look for cracks. You only see the light. I still remember the very first day we met. It wasn't anything magical, not like the movies, but somehow, it stuck with me. I was at a small coffee shop, lost in my own world, buried in work. And then there he was, asking if he could sit at this in the empty chair across from me. At first, I barely looked up. But then I heard his voice, warm, confident, and familiar in a strange way. We talked. Not much at first, just little things. But little things have a way of turning into everything. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. He knew how to make me laugh, how to make me feel seen, and somewhere along the way, I let my guard down. I let him in. The late night calls, the long drives with the windows down, music blasting, and nothing but endless conversations. The way he'd look at me, like I was the only person in the world who mattered. It felt real. It felt safe. It felt like home. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my best friend. The person I ran to with good news, weeks and news, and the person I clung to with bad news. He promised me forever, and I believed him. Looking back now, maybe I believed too quickly. Maybe I wanted the fairy tale so badly. I ignored the shadows creeping in at the edges. But at the time, it felt like nothing could go wrong. We built our routines, our little world. Friday night takeout, Sunday morning walks, random road trips where we'd get lost on purpose, just for the fun of finding our way back. People around us envied what we had. They'd say, "You two are so good together. What's your secret?" And I'd smile because I thought I really knew the answer. The secret, I told myself, was trust. What a cruel joke that turned out to be. But the truth is, the news and the signs were always there. I just didn't see them, or maybe I didn't want to. The late replies to texts, with excuses that sounded too rehearsed. The sudden work trips that didn't quite add up. The way he'd sometimes go quiet when his phone buzzed, turning the screen away as if hiding something. Little cracks. But I smoothed them over with hope. I told myself I was overthinking, that love meant giving space, the space. And trust meant not questioning every little thing, and he played his role well. He knew exactly what to say, exactly when to hold me, and space, and me, and exactly how to keep me believing. There's something dangerous about a love that feels too perfect. It blinds you, it tricks you into ignoring your instincts. It convinces you that the storm will never come. But storms, they always come. At the time, I was proud of us. I thought we were building something strong. We talked about the future, about moving in together, maybe even marriage. We made plans, big and small, for a life that was supposed to be ours. And yet, behind those smiles and promises, he was already writing a different story, one I wasn't invited to be a part of. Looking back, I see it so clearly now. The distance grew little by little. The half-hearted excuses. The nights when he was present in body but miles away in spirit. But back then, I brushed it all aside. Because love has a way of blinding you. It paints over the cracks, hides the shadows and whispers. Everything whispers. Everything's fine. And I wanted to believe it. I needed to believe it. So I kept giving him my heart. Piece by piece. I kept defending him when friends raised their eyebrows. I kept trusting him, even when my gut screamed something wasn't right. And he let me pour everything into him while he kept his secrets tucked safely away. That's the cruelest part of betrayal. It doesn't just hurt because of the lie. It hurts because of how much truth you gave away before it came. At the time, though, I didn't see any of that. All I saw was us, laughing, dreaming, planning. I thought I had found the one. I thought our beginning would lead to a beautiful middle. Anne whispers, "Everything's middle and an even better ending." But beginnings can be deceiving, and mine was nothing more than a perfect illusion. Because while I was busy building a future with him, he was already breaking the foundation behind my back, the perfect beginning. That's what I thought I had. But what I really had was the beginning of the end. And soon, I would find out the truth. Soon, the cracks would split wide open, and the man I thought I loved would reveal who he truly was. But not yet. No, not yet. Because at that point, I was still living in the illusion, still holding on to the dream, still blind to the betrayal that was waiting just around the corner. And that was the cruelest part of all. People always say love is blind, but here's the truth. Love isn't blind. Love just makes you look away when you should be staring straight at the warning signs, and the signs were there. They were always there. I just didn't want to see them. It started small. Little things that didn't make sense. Buhasen's butt were easy to excuse. He used to call me every night before bed. But suddenly, some nights he'd say he was too tired, tired, or fell asleep early. It seemed harmless, until those nights became more frequent. Then there were the weekends. Weekends used to be ours. Long drives, cozy movies, lazy mornings. But slowly, he became busy. Always an excuse. Work. Family. Errands. Something that pulled him away from me. And every time I asked, his words were smooth, convincing, tired, convincing, and effectively rehearsed. But his eyes told another story. I remember one evening so clearly. We were at dinner, sitting across from each other, candles flickering between us. To anyone watching, we probably looked like the perfect couple. But I noticed the way he kept glancing at his phone, the way his smile faded when he thought I wasn't looking. When I asked who he was texting, he laughed, said it was just a friend from work. But the laugh felt forced. The answer felt too quick. And for the first time, a tiny sea